then our equation L will be equal to 2 raised to k, where k will be considered as 8. So 2 raised to 8, so we have 256 different gray levels. So this is how you can calculate the size of the image. M is the number of rows, N is the number of columns, and M cross N cross K. K is the number of bits to represent the different gray levels. So for the same image, we can have different size based on the number of gray levels we have used. So also we have seen the example in the last session that for a particular one image, we have different image sizes with different gray levels. We have considered 16 colors, we have considered a monochrome image. So that's how for the same size image, size will remain same in terms of height and width. But overall storage size of the image will change according to the number of bits which are used to represent the image. So now I'm going to share my screen, and we'll continue with more interesting applications of image processing. So this was the last one we have seen, human activity recognition. I hope my slides are visible now because I have not shared the slide so far. Okay, so we'll continue with other interesting applications of image processing. So this was the last slide we have discussed in the last session, that we can detect the human activity through the image processing. We can recognize the background and we can separate the background and foreground picture. And from the foreground part, we can detect the motion because we have a set of images here, which is forming a video clip, and we can detect the human activity. Another interesting application is hand gesture recognition. A person is moving hand movements, and according to the hand movements, uh, we can recognize what that person is willing to tell us. So through the hand movements, hand gesture, we can recognize the meaning of the person if person is not able to speak. So this is also one of the applications of image processing in computer vision. There is one more interesting application. You can see that there is a camera on the top of the screen here, and through that screen a person is making different faces in front of the camera, and that person is visible in the screen also. And according to the expression which person is giving, the another automated computerized face will be matched to indicate the facial expression of that person. So this is one of the application of image processing. Detect the face features through image segmentation and feature extraction, and then according to the features, uh, it will detect the expression of the human. So you can see that basically it is extracting the mouth feature. Here you can see in this picture that the mouth of the person is open, it is wide, sufficiently wide, and through that and through eyes, immediately an expression can be matched with the available expression set. So this is also one of the applications of image processing. We have multiple faces, and also you can see that when we are using a camera, we have two things: either a frontal face where clearly both the eyes and both the ears are visible, so it is known as a frontal face recognition and detection. So that is what in the left hand side picture, and in the right hand side picture, it is a side view of the person where frontal face is not there. So it is much more difficult to detect the face and recognize the face. So detection of face will be somewhat easy, but recognizing a face when the person is not in a frontal position, then it is difficult. Also you can see that when there is a non-frontal face, person may be uh, looking downwards, person may be looking upwards. So that head movement is also make a lot of significance while detecting and recognizing the face. So these are the another two applications of image processing. This is also a very interesting application used in the military. At the border in the night, images were captured so that any movement can be detected by the other countries at the border. So here, from the original image, which is taken by a camera at night at the border, uh, image processing techniques will be applied, and it will recognize the object which is recognized as the tank and another jeep and other things. So basically, through image processing, it will superimpose the structure of the object on the actual picture. So this tank and jeep are clearly visible. So it will indicate that there is some activity going on at the border in the night so that no one can recognize. So through image processing also it can be used in this kind of surveillance basically. So it is used by the military or army, we can say, at the border. Now, similar to that, this is also a very interesting application. You can see in the top there is a one particular label of any product, that is Comet, and you can see there is a green color wrapper of that particular product with yellow and border, and it is written Comet, and here it is also written a bathroom cleaner. So it is a particular wrapper of a particular product, a bathroom cleaner. So when this kind of picture is inserted, Google is also supporting it, uh, where you can insert a image, upload an image, and it will try to find the matched images. So here you can see that in 33 seconds it will find out. So definitely it is not a result from the Google, because Google will give lot of results. This is just a demo software which is created by the foreign university students uh, many years back, just to show that how indexing can be done into a database. So based on the color combinations and features, it will recognize out of 5, this 5 is your database, and it will match with the first two, because that first two is clearly taking the original image as input, and it is matching with it. So you can see while doing a match, it has to do a necessary scaling. It must be scale invariant. So your input image may be of larger size, but the use of that sticker in the advertisement may be a small one. So it is irrespective of the scale. It is also irrespective of the orientation. You can say in the original uploaded image it is straight, while in the indexing, in the images which are in the database, you can find there is a one, we can say around a 40, 30 to 45-degree rotation when that particular uh, bottle of that bathroom cleaner is in a person's hand. So even though it should be rotation invariant, it should be scale invariant, and it should be still detected. So these are the some of the challenges while doing index based search, that when you upload an image, it is not necessary that it will be always exactly same in the database. So it may have some kind of rotation, it may have a certain kind of scaling, larger in size or smaller in size. It may have some noise, there may be some kind of occlusion. It may happen that only part of the label is visible. The hand of a person is such that you cannot see the complete label, but you can see only part of the label. So in that case, if there is an occlusion, so that hand is known as occlusion. So if there is an occlusion, still it should be able to detect that image, and that is the ultimate goal. So I hope you are getting my point. Any query up to this? So these are some of the challenges while doing a search in the database through uploaded image. I hope you are getting the things. Yes? Okay, so there's one more interesting thing. There's also one of the software which is a web-based solution. So you can see that there are certain keywords given. So it is a keyword-based search. Normally, whatever Google is doing for us, right? So this is a very well-known such software which was developed many years back uh, as a introductory part, and now Google is using various search algorithms to achieve the goal. So you can see there are certain keywords are given: Africa, then beaches, then clouds and dusk, happiness, New York, and other words are there. So here happiness word is selected. So when happiness word is selected, it will find out the images with happy faces. You can see that people are talking. In the first picture, lady is talking on a phone. In other one, it is a group photograph. So you can see that clearly the faces of the persons in the images are showing a happiness. You can see their teeth. You can see their lips in a certain way, and they are wide open, so that it is clearly showing that person is happy. And you can see also the features of the cheek and chin. So through cheeks, you can also identify that person is laughing actually, and that's why person is actually happy. So that is how, based on the keyword, image retrieval can be done. And this is what we are doing also in Google. But these are the softwares which were developed in the 10, 20 years back, and which was just the beginning of this Google search engine, we can say. And from that, finally, a Google search engine has been developed or generated. This is another example of happiness. You can see this is another software, right? So you can see that people are laughing in all these pictures. You can see various expressions. That expressions are such that they are happy when they are talking with each other, when they are thinking, when they see something very amazing, and you can identify that expression as well. It shows the happiness on their faces. So these are the various applications which we can consider as a part of image processing. This also interesting application, content-based image retrieval. Now, here it is different. It is not text-based. It is not image-based. If the previous one was based on the image, whatever image you are uploading, it is based on that. Exactly, it will try to match it, and it is taking care of scaling and rotation. While here it is a content-based image retrieval. So here, from the query image, it will extract the various features. From the query image, it will extract the various features. Like in this first one, it is a double-decker bus. So what are the features of that double-decker bus? That you can see that there are wheels in the bus. There are 2 stories in the bus, which is known as decks. So double-decker bus. Then you can see the color of the bus here. Also, you can see there are windows in the bus. So these are the various features, that the shape of that bus will be a rectangle shape, and all these features are extracted from it. And once these features are extracted, according to that features, it will try to match it, which is a much more complicated search and retrieval, because extracting a feature itself is a very difficult task. If you extract the features which are not proper, then you will get incorrect results as well. As you can also see here, that you are able to retrieve a image of a person sitting on a horse, as you can see in the second row, second column. If you look at this picture, it is clear that person is sitting on a horse, second row, second column. So actually it is not the query image, but because in the background you can see a car with a red color and with wheels and some glass windows and are visible, so it will extracting as a query image. So that's how you can see more the features are there. Also you can see in the second row fourth image, so that second row fourth image is also different. As you can see here, it is not of a double decker bus, but it has it is of a tractor, and where wheels are there with red color, similar kind of look and feel is there. So it is retrieving as a query image. So feature extraction is the key part in this. More you extract the features properly, more it will give you the correct results. So if your features are sharp, you can extract it very easily. Here you can see that through another software. This is also a well-known software, Octagon. So in this Octagon software, a person is searching for a beach. So you can see various pictures of the beach are extracted from the image database. So it is also a well-known software for image-based search. You have to just upload the image, it will extract the features, and then it will search the required images. One more is, sometimes what will happen that you don't have a suitable image to search. Suppose here there is a equipment, but you don't have exact picture of it. So what you will do, the image processing software will allow you to draw a shape of that object. So through this software, you can draw the shape of the object. From that shape of the object, it will extract how many horizontal and vertical lines are there, and it will try to match a shape of it. So you can see that it is getting the object in the third picture. It is getting the object in the third picture. That matched object is this according to your drawing, because normally we cannot draw a perfect picture through lines, right? We are just drawing a sketch of it. So from that sketch it will extract the features, and then it will try to match in the database, and it will give us the picture that this is the object for which you are searching mostly. And then according to that similar kind of shape, it will try to find in the different images which are available in the database, or different sketches in the database. So it is also giving the uh, match score. It is also giving here the match score. So here you can see the word also, best match. It is giving the word a best match, where the matching score is very high. Where the matching score is very high. For others, still there is a matching score, but it is very low, because you are drawing a object. So not necessarily that you are able to draw it perfectly. So it will try to match it as much as possible. And then according to that, it will give a match score for all the relevant and matched objects. So next one is, other applications are human pose estimation using motion exemplars. So person is doing a small walk, and from that certain features were extracted, and you can see that here that the hand movement of a person, leg movement of a person when person is moving, they are detected, and from that a 3D model is generated, as you can see in the last one, that this is how this person is moving. This is the movement of his leg, because when every person is walking, every person has its own style of walking. So that can be detected also here, that this is the movement of a person, this is how he moves his hands, this is the orientation of the head while moving from one place to another place. It is somewhat tilted, as you can see. The head of the person is somewhat tilted, it is not exactly straight. And this is how a 3D object of that person is generated. and through this we can identify the human person. That is the person. Definitely other features are also required, because only from the motion, if someone is uh, mimicking the style of some another person, it will give otherwise incorrect results. So other features are also required to detect the actual human, right? The face recognition is also required to detect the exact person. So there are many applications of image processing, right? And the list is endless. We have discussed some of these applications like fingerprint recognition, biometrics, that is iris recognition. You can take a picture of the iris of a person, and then based on that, it will detect the human, who is that person. Signature verification, when a person is writing, doing a signature, you can verify the signature, which is useful in banks and other legal documents. Document handling is also a very good application. It is very common now that you are scanning the documents, and then from that documents automatically text will be retrieved, and it can be stored into a database. One very popular application is which is used by laboratory people, labs, path labs. They are just putting the printout of that lab report on the scanner, and from that scanner automatically it will generate a soft copy of that report, and then it will automatically extract the parameters of different tests, and it will store in the form of a database, so that no need to manually enter the details. So it will reduce the error, because sometimes it is common that if there are many reports and by mistake person will make a incorrect entry, then there is a chance that it will create a problem. So if you will submit your report to doctor, it is better that doctor is using this kind of software. So they are just putting the report, and automatically all the values will be extracted from that path lab report, and it will be stored in the database of that patient in the hospital. Because everyone will do the entry, there is a chance of more errors. Path lab people are making the entry, and they are generating the report, and that is the printout. But that the same report will be transferred to hospital in the form of a physical document. And then if hospital people will also make an entry of that report, then there is a chance of manual error. So that can be avoided through this kind of application. Also, insurance company uh, are also keeping a record of these reports while giving the insurance of a person during a medical diagnosis. So medical insurance people also need this kind of entry of reports. So it is very difficult to manually enter all these values. Also, you can see in the OCR, right? Yeah, when you might have a physical book available and you want to convert into a digital soft copy. So it is optical character recognition, right? It is optical character recognition. So now in that also there is a need to separate the lines first. Every line should be extracted from the scanned page. Once you extract every line, you have to extract the individual words. Once you extract the individual words, you have to extract the individual characters, and then you have to match that character with the database, and that's how your physical book, hard copy or paperback book, will be converted into a soft copy form. So this is also one of the applications of image processing, that is known as document handling. Color image processing. This example also I have discussed in the last session, that if there is a grayscale picture, so that grayscale picture can be converted into a color form. So it is a very popular application. So this list is very large. Also in the agriculture field, you will find that there are various databases of fruits and vegetables, and there is a need to identify whether which fruit is there, to recognize that fruit or vegetable. Also, if that fruit is raw or it is ripe, that also need to be recognized. So it is also one application of image processing. You take a picture of a mango and you, based on the color and size and shape, you can decide whether it is a ripe or it is still raw. Uh, so that's what you can do. So there are many applications in agriculture in case of leaf disease identification. There are many diseases in the plants. So also this disease can be recognized through image processing. You can take a picture, scan a plant, a leaf of a plant, and then you match with the existing database, and then you can tell that yes, this is a disease with this particular plant. So these are the few applications which we can consider. So now, before we go into other details, that is fundamental steps of image processing and components of image processing, let me show you some of the actual databases which are used normally for image processing, which are used by the people most of the time. So let me show you that there are many databases which are available on the net. So let me show you some of them. So at least you have some idea. So the first database which I will consider is this one. This is for the different buildings. So let me share that with you. So this is give you some brief idea that this kind of database are existing on the net and that are used for the purpose of image processing. So can you see this database? It is of different buildings. This is a real database which is available on the net. You can see that different types of buildings are there. Their front views are there, side views are there. There are more than 1,000 images in this database. And when someone will upload the picture, it will match with this database and in which country, in which city, and all the details of that building will be available. Places, then you have the picture of that, and you can just upload on the net, and it will give you the detail of that building, that it is in which country and at which place. So you can see that there are many such images in this, right? And many buildings are there. So this is known as actually one of the application where you have to do this thing. So I hope you got the basic idea that this is one such database. There are other databases also. Is also a very popular database which is of different categories. So now let me share you that also with you. So you can see various pictures are there. Here the pictures of South African people are there. Then you can see there are pictures of uh, a seashore or beach is there. All the beaches are shown there. Third one is it is showing the different buildings. So these are the different categories. So when you upload a picture, it will try to match with this database and it will tell, is it a picture of a South African people? Is it a picture of a building? Is it a picture of a seashore? Is it a picture of a vehicle like bus? You can see that the fourth category is the bus. Is it a picture of a animal like dinosaur? So when you upload a picture, it will match with these available classes. Is it a picture of elephant? You can see different classes here. Is it a picture of a flower? Is it a picture of horse? So when you upload any picture related to this category, is it a picture of mountains covered with snow? Or is it a any dish? So these are the different categories which are there. So that's what you can understand from this, that there are 10 different categories over here. There are 10 different categories over here. And based on that, when you upload an image, and if in the background this is the image database, it will try to match your image with any one of these categories. We have 10 categories in this database. So if it will try to find a matching score with every category, and highest matching score will be given as a label to this new image which you are giving as input, which is known as the query image. So these are the some of the image databases. You can search also this kind of databases on the net. They are available for download and you can apply various image processing techniques on it. Okay, so now with this we'll move towards our another topic. So we have next is components in digital image processing. So if you want to perform a digital image processing, you need first an image which is generated from the given problem domain. It may be a medical science image in the form of a digital image. Once you are getting a digital image, then you can take a printout of it, because now your computer is connected with a network. You can see the network at the top. So once you are getting that image in your computer, it is connected with a network. So it can be transferred to some another computer through internet or intranet. And now from that computer, you can download that and store that image on another computer. You can display it on the screen. You can take a printout again of that image on another machine or on the same machine. And also you can apply various image processing software for the purpose of image enhancement. So this is how you can say that digital image processing requires image display so that you print that image. You need a mass storage device like hard disk or CD drive or something, or pen drive, to store that image. You need a specialized image processing software to process that image. And also there must be a specialized hardware so that you can capture that image very well. So these are the main components in the digital image processing. Now the next thing is the fundamental steps in the digital image processing. So these are two different things. Don't mix these two. The first one was component in the digital image processing, which are the essential components to perform the digital image processing. The next one is fundamental steps in the digital image processing. The first is from the given problem domain, you will acquire the image. So, so our chapter 2, which will start also from the next lecture onwards, is focusing on image acquisition, perform a quantization of the image and other things. What is optical illusions? What is a neighborhood of a pixel and other concepts. So that we'll learn in the chapter 2. You will learn Weber ratio and other parameters. So chapter 2 of your book focuses on that. The third and fourth chapter are related with the enhancement of the image, how you will improve the image which is captured through any device, so that you can clearly see that image. So here I can say that if I define image enhancement in a simple statement, so it is accentuate a certain image features for subsequent analysis or for image display. So you can see that whatever image is taken through a camera, it is a very dark image. You can see that image which is taken through a camera is a very dark image. So through image enhancement, through techniques like histogram equalization or gamma correction or through histogram specification, you can improve that quality of the image and you can increase the brightness. So you can see that foreground and background will be clearly visible. So that is known as image enhancement. So basically accentuate certain features or for subsequent analysis or for image display. So when you improve the quality of an image, basically it is known as image enhancement. So that is chapter 3 of your book. And 4 is also image enhancement, but it is in the frequency domain. So you will learn more about time domain, spatial domain, and frequency domain in the chapter 3 and chapter 4. The next goal is image restoration. That if image is not of good quality, how you can restore that image. So that comes under this, because this is the original image. You can see it is a picture of Statue of Liberty, which is taken through some aircraft. So because there is a motion, the image is blurred in the original picture. The original picture, you can see the blurred image. So now once you take that picture, you cannot retake that picture. There is no option. It is obvious, right? Because it is not possible to recreate that situation every time. So at that time, what you have to do, you have to go for image restoration. You will identify the degradation parameter, that how much motion is there. You calculate that motion, and according to that, you will understand that because of this motion, these values are shifted towards left or right. So if you restore that values to their original positions, you are able to get the clear picture. So that is known as image restoration. So basically here the effect is blurring, right? Original image is a blurred image, and through image deblurring, we'll identify the degradation parameter and we can do the restoration. So basically it is defined as to remove or minimize known or unknown degradation in an image. Sometimes the reason for degradation is known to the person, but exact parameter is not available. Sometimes the reason for degradation is unknown, so you can try different techniques to improve the quality of the image. So it is not necessary that always you are able to restore the image properly. Like this, here it is a very clear picture. You feel that we have done a full restoration. It is only possible if you know the degradation parameter, that how much degradation was there. If you know that exact parameter of degradation, then and then you can do this thing. Otherwise, if that degradation parameter is unknown, and if I will give you any blurred image, you cannot restore it fully like this. So that's what image restoration is, and that is your chapter number 5 of your book. And then chapter 6, color image processing. So it is not in your syllabus, that how you can convert a black and white image into a color image, and how you will extract various information from the color image. So chapter 6 is not in your syllabus. Similarly, chapter 7 is not also part of your syllabus. They are part of other courses like MTech in some other universities. Then we have chapter 8, image compression. So overview of that chapter is also in your syllabus. Chapter 9, morphological image processing. It is in your syllabus with sufficient detail. So if I can focus on the overview of this data compression, it is very simple, that to reduce the amount of data required to represent the image. So if your image is stored in the form of BMP, that is bitmap image, then it will take much more size. On the other hand, if you convert that image into JPEG, right, it is Joint Photographic Expert Group, JPEG. You might be aware with that. So that JPEG is doing a lot of compression on the original image. So visually, you feel that both the images are same, but the storage size of the JPE image is much more lesser than the BMP image. Similarly, when you scan the image through a camera, the default option is the TIFF image, tagged image file format. It is tagged image file format, TIFF. So which is taking a lot of space. So you can convert that in the form of into BMP, or you can convert into a JPEG. But when you convert into a JPEG, you will have a loss of information. Visually, both are same, but if you compare pixel by pixel, position by position, you will find a lot of difference in the actual values. Visually, you cannot see the difference. So now the next thing is image segmentation. That is your chapter 10, which is also in your syllabus with complete detail. So the chapter 1, which we are doing right now, chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, then chapter 8, 9, and 10. That is your syllabus. So next is the image segmentation. In case of image segmentation, you have to extract the various features. You have to segment the various features of the image. So here you can see a Swedish lady, which you will find in every image processing book. So now if you look at this, why it is a very good test image, you can see that if I take a portion of that image, you can see that there is a lot of variation in the hair color. You can see shades of purple in the hairs. You can see the shades of purple in the hairs if it is a color image. Also, if you consider black and white image, you will find a lot of shades of gray in this picture. Also, you can see the shades of uh, gray and white and black in the hair. So that's why you can see that we have a texture. So this area is known as the uh, various edges. Then if you look at the skin, then it is a flat region. It is a flat region, the skin color. Then you can see the shades in the head, right? You can see the shades in the head of different gray colors. Also, you can see in the mirror, you can see the shades of gray. Also, background is wooden color, so you can see the various shades of wood in the background. Also, if you can say grayscale image, you can see the various shades of gray in the wooden color. So it is having a nice mixture of detail, flat regions, we have shadings, we have textures. So it is a very popular image, which is used in any book, always in the image processing. So reason for this particular picture of Lena is that when the person was doing experiment of uh, capturing the image, uh, because at that time there were no such images available with him. So he went to a nearby newsstand and he took one magazine and the front cover of that magazine was this story you can also find on the net as well. So he just took that magazine on which this was the front cover. So what he did, that he scanned that picture, and he explained the various concepts using that picture, extracted the features and all that. So because of that, this image is a widely popular image in any image processing book. He does not have any picture with him which he can scan, which is having a lot of details. So that's why he took one magazine, because normally you can see that print magazines having a very good quality of pictures, uh, with very good details. So he took that picture of this model from that magazine and scanned it, and it is used in his image processing research paper and other task. So that's why it is a very popular picture. So here you can also see a blank photo frame like a thing. So we'll see this also today in the last slide, that this is the picture when she was very young, and in 1997, when she has been she was invited as a chief guest of the image processing conference. She became the chief guest of the image processing conference because everyone was keen to know that how Lena is looking actually. So in the image processing conference in US, she became the chief guest, and she has been invited at that time. So this is about image segmentation, where we can detect the edges. From this you can see that you can detect the horizontal edges, you can detect the vertical edges, you can see there are vertical pillars in the background. So you can detect the vertical lines, you can also detect the curved edges, you can see the shape of the mirror is a curve. Also you can see some lines of the lines are almost horizontal lines, not exactly, but they are nearly horizontal lines. So that's why it is used in image segmentation. In your book it is used in enhancement, it is used in almost all the chapters of your book. In color image processing, everywhere it is used. One more example of image segmentation is this one, that is, you can have the fingerprint of a person, and if you take that fingerprint and if you plot the histogram of it, foreground and background, you will see a clear valley at 127. At 127 you will find a clear valley. So based on that, if you segment the image, then it becomes a very clear image with background and foreground totally distinguishable. You can see that. So you can clearly see a valley between the foreground and background. So if the value is less than 127, you will declare it as background. If value is more than 127, you will declare it as a foreground of the picture. And you will get the output image, a segmented image, which is clearly showing the foreground and background separately. And this one also, it is segmenting the various objects in the picture. Star is segmented, uh, portion of the circle is segmented, portion of the square is also segmented. So here you can see also the occlusions. You can also identify that square is at the last, then before it there is a circle, and in the front there is a star. Because star is not occluded, you can clearly see the star. After that you can see that there is a portion of square which is covered by the circle. So circle is in the middle and square is at the last position. So this is how you can perform the segmentation of the image. You can segment the various objects, and as I told that color image processing I think I talked about this movie in the last lecture also, that in the original scene, it was a black and white movie. And after that, through image processing software, it is converted into a particular color software. So let me share that screen if it is visible. I hope you can see this now. Is it visible? This is the original picture, which is in the form of grayscale image. I hope you can see it now very well. And then you can also find that you can convert that into a color picture. So your picture will be a colored picture. So this is through an image processing. It is through an image processing, through segmentation and other process. So through algorithm, you can do this thing as well. Okay, so now we'll go back to our last slide of today's session. So this is the last slide. You can see that the same lady is present with the chairperson of the conference. 50th annual conference is there, and she has been invited as a chief guest, and she is looking at the research paper in which her picture is there, and they were discussing that in many papers, in almost all image processing papers of that time, and in all the image processing books, uh, her picture is used widely by the researchers. So see, that picture is an inspiration for many researchers because of the so many details which are present in that picture. So I think with this, we'll end up with today's session, and this is the end of our chapter 1. I hope you enjoyed chapter 1, various applications of image processing. We have discussed in detail, and from next chapter onwards, we'll start chapter 2, in which we have simple mathematics. We'll do image interpolation to increase the size, to double the size of the image, to convert the image into half of its size, and all that. So from next lecture onwards, we'll start chapter 2 of your digital image processing. So thank you all. I hope you enjoyed chapter 1.